Hey guys, welcome to Make Money Count. Here with Marcus. And
what's up?
Oh, what is up is not the Toronto housing market. I don't know.
Let's talk a bit about the Toronto housing market. And
seems bleak.
I feel like the last couple of episodes we've been talking more about mortgages.
Yeah. Which is what we do, but
a lot of people are asking us about like I've had a few of our customers, a few of my friends ask if now is the time to buy a condo.
Right.
And the answer to that question is I am not 100% sure. And it definitely depends on your time horizon, like how long you're planning on holding the condo for. Because there is a lot of inventory right now. I was looking at a Substack article from my buddy Axelan.
Right.
And
I feel like I'm not cool enough to know what Substack is.
We've spoken about this before.
And did I say the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you remember what I said to you about it? It's like the OnlyFans for geeks.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I remember.
It's geek OnlyFans.
Yeah. Geeky OnlyFans. Yeah. Okay.
Austin's got it up right away. So why don't we dive into this a little bit? The stuff that Alex puts together is so well researched, so well thought out, that it really is just such a great source of information. And there is a few items on here that I want to kind of draw everyone's attention to. So he does make mention of the fact that April is typically a stronger month seasonally,
right? Of course,
for Metro Toronto, Ontario
Spring.
housing.
Yeah.
The issue is just how much inventory is available for sale right now. So the 10-year average is about 15,000 units.
Right.
And this is obviously a lot of this is condos, but this is everything that's active, all the active listings. We've got double that right now, 30,000 active listings. We've also got very few sales happening, right? So in order for the market to return to some semblance of normal, we've got to digest all of that active inventory.
Sop it up.
Right. We've got things are improving in some respects. I mean, interest rates are dropping. The Bank of Canada has signaled that they're going to drop interest rates. There's a little bit of a worry now. I don't know. I read an article that Loblaws is saying that their price discounts or that the pricing for items in supermarkets is going to have to go up. So we could see food price inflation, which, right. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we have not stopped seeing food price inflation.
Definitely not.
We'll have to see what happens in the next CPI numbers. That hopefully doesn't impact the Bank of Canada from reducing interest rates further.
Right.
We've been calling for a June drop, a July drop, and then probably another drop before the end of 2025.
3.95.
Right. I don't know. Hopefully that does something to the market, but combined with this massive amount of uncertainty around tariffs and driving our unemployment rate higher, a lack of investment, and most importantly, a real lack of consumer confidence.
Right.
So in order to bring buyers off of the sidelines to purchase some of this unsold inventory, the Canadian economy has to appear to have something bright on the horizon line.
Like a good future, yeah.
Yeah. And maybe there's something that can pull that together, like reducing interest rates, tariff certainty, a deal between Canada and the United States, the start of some business investment that will help us get back on a trajectory that we need to be on in order to absorb some of these units. But it doesn't look great right now. Like looking at at these graphs that Alex has put together, like I'll show you, there's one right here. If you want to pull it up, Toronto Metro active inventory.
So that's 2008 was 27,000. Is that what that says? We're at the 2008 mark.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, it obviously it was worse in 1991, 92, but like we're in a really, really weird place right now where active inventory is the highest it was since 1996. New listings are at like a historical average, but we're seeing the lowest April level of sales since 1995, excluding the pandemic.
Right.
So nothing's being purchased right
Mm-hmm.
now. There's no activity in the market. The months of inventory that sit on the market is the highest April number reading that we've had since 1996. Sales to new listings ratio is the weakest April since 1990. And all of these data points would typically signal additional price drops.
Right.
All of these weak data points.
Right.
So unless we can do something to affect change on these data points, what we're heading for is further price declines.
Isn't there a floor though? Like, you know what I mean? Like if you own a piece of real estate, I mean, I guess you can't hold out forever, but at a certain point you're like, I just can't sell it for any lower than this, right? Like what's the floor?
Listen, right now, condos are being sold for less than what it costs to build them.
Right.
Right. So what's the floor?
Yeah. I
Like,
guess there is none.
Yeah, there's a point where people are going to be, and people are already purchasing units for less than what it costs to build them.
Right.
And the federal government thinks that they're going to be able to reduce the costs to build units
Mm-hmm.
to address this supposed supply problem. I don't
Mhm.
know. Is there a supply problem? I think that there's a supply problem for affordable properties.
Right.
I think that like the cost to build a property isn't affordable. It's too expensive to create a new unit of housing.
Right.
And then there's a lot of media around the fact that the housing that we are building or that we have built up till now, and that is in the pipeline to come online in 2026,
Mhm.
are these tiny micro units,
Right.
right? So, and nobody wants to live in them. Investors have bought them. They're 300, 400 square foot units. They're very difficult to make work. And I think we're going to see continued downward pressure on rents because of how many of these units exist.
Right.
And then add to that the fact that we don't want immigration anymore.
Right.
Immigration was propping up demand for housing.
And then we strip that out.
So I honestly, I think we are in store for a little more pain in the Toronto housing market. I think that from all of the numbers that I can see, none of them are on an improving trajectory right now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see?
I mean, when you were mentioning the new builds, right? And I'm definitely seeing a lot more new construction properties, condos, houses, semis, whatever, townhouses coming in way lower than value, which is a scary thing.
Way lower than purchase price.
Than purchase price. Sorry. Yeah. Way lower than purchase price, which is a scary thing. Like, you know what I mean? These are people's lives. They've bought a property, and having that conversation is never fun. And I mean, listen, we have really good relationships with our lenders and appraisers, and, you know, we can try and mitigate that as much as possible, but it's still tough. It's still tough. I feel terrible. Right. So, and I know
a lot of people are walking away from their deposits. Like that's
that
happening
too.
more.
Yeah. That too.
Like, and builders, developers are suing people for that loss, right?
Yeah.
So like there's so many tricks that have been implemented to try to avoid this,
Mhm.
right? Like these blanket appraisals on new developments as they're coming up so that people can kind of keep that value that they purchased it at, and that the developer can sell all of the units, and then the lender who lent the money to the developer can, instead of being owed all of that money from one developer, can be owed the same amount of money, but in smaller, tiny pieces from a whole bunch of different people that have purchased units in there.
Right.
But we're talking about people that bought units for like almost not almost, some of them did buy for $2,000 a square foot. And those same units in comparable buildings or even in the same building are selling for $1,000 a square foot.
Yeah.
If you have a 20% down payment on something and your price is dropped in half.
Yeah. That's time to walk away.
Yeah. I mean, and then you're exposed to the fact that you got a builder coming after you to sue you.
Yeah. It's not nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, everything that I am seeing in the market indicates that there's a little more pain in pricing. But again, if you're in this for 4 or 5 years, where do prices rest in 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
I got to think
definitely higher than this.
I got to think that they're higher than where they are right now.
Yeah. Once Trumpy's gone.
Yeah. And I think that it's not just, I mean, listen, our real estate market will have to recover before Trump leaves office, especially if he wants to get reelected in 2028.
Right. For the third time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that'll happen?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't say, I can't give certainty on anything Trump's going to do, but he said he found a loophole. I mean, I don't know what the loophole is, but apparently he did.
When did he say he had a loophole?
He said he's like
investigating.
He's figuring it out.
Yeah, I think that's what his game plan is, right? He just kind of like throws things out there, judges how it's going to be received, and then if there's too much pushback, he's like, "Oh, I was just kidding."
Yeah. I mean, I have noticed that like what he's been doing lately probably is viewed in a more positive light by the American citizens. Like what he's been doing very recently, like going to the Middle East and striking up deals, knocking down the tariffs from China. I don't know exactly what it ended up being with China, but I think that for the American people, it's better than just like.
I don't know.
Everywhere.
I think it depends on what you're reading, and the media is kind of so divided.
Well, Fox.
Yeah, well,
just joking.
It's viewed very positively.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll tell you, like, as far as we here in Canada are concerned, until there's some level of certainty on our relationship with the United States,
mm-hmm.
we aren't going to have an upswing in consumer confidence.
Right.
And the federal government is doing its best now to bring in a new cabinet and to try to restore some confidence. A lot of people are saying that the fact that we've got a more business-minded liberal government is going to be helpful. There's talk about reducing income taxes.
Right. Yeah.
There's talk about throwing more money at affordable housing. There's talk about this mass timber building. Like the federal government wants to put a whole bunch of money into creating stimulus to build out mass timber apartment buildings.
Oh, interesting.
Which will be fabricated in Canada, which will use timber from Canada. So as a way to kind of vertically integrate into a supply chain that like is all Canadian.
Yeah.
To produce something with Canadian technology, Canadian resources in Canada, and then become something that we can kind of export our knowledge and our ability to other places in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like all these things sound great, but again, we're relying on the federal government to save us right now.
Right. Do you believe in Carney? I feel like we haven't done a podcast since he got elected.
I don't know yet. It's too early to tell.
Right.
It's too early to tell. Like nothing's happened
yet.
Right?
Yeah. No,
we're just at the kind of promises stage of our relationship with him.
Isn't that Canadian politics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, at some point, the rubber's got to meet the road, right? Like we've got to see what comes of this.
Yeah.
And as we sit here right now, I'll pull up one more thing on the housing market in Toronto. This is the BNN Bloomberg. There's anyways, you can see here, this is the percentage of home prices that went for below list price. And again, this is April, right? April's supposed to be like a hot month for real estate, right?
Yeah.
The winter's over, spring market's starting. And you can see here, right? Like almost 70% of houses are going for less than what they're being listed for.
Yeah.
And that indicates that a lot of the power now is in the buyer's hands.
We're basically a COVID.
For sure. Yeah. It's funny because there's this like people you assume in the market that like single family detached homes and townhomes and semi-detached should be kind of tethered to the price of a condo per square foot. So like they shouldn't deviate by that much.
Right.
And we all expected that like, okay, well, single family homes have kind of been sitting at like maybe appreciating even slightly because there's a finite supply of
Can't
them,
build more land.
right? But condo prices have just been tanking.
Right.
And at a certain point, we're expecting condo prices to come up to meet the price of single family homes.
Right.
But what happens if we just see those prices start to come off more?
Right.
I think that there's definitely, like, for sure, if detached
That's a scary
and
thing.
semi-detached homes come off even further in price, there's probably an opportunity there for sure, because again, there's a very finite supply of that.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that say about condos? Like,
Right.
at what point? And then that means that we're going to have no condos being built, right? Like, we had an influx of purpose-built rentals being built. That's now coming off. So we're going to have some deliverables. Like, we're going to have some supply hit the market in 2026 and 2027. But in 2028 and in 2029, there is nothing coming.
But do you think this is going to end up being a thing where, like, in 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, like, we're going to be so short on condos at that point that it's going to be like a total feeding frenzy?
So I would love to think that the fact that supply gets restricted resets the supply demand equilibrium,
Right.
and then allows prices to spike. The problem is that, like, right now, everybody that's sitting with developable land
Mm-hmm.
can't sell it,
Right.
so they're entitling it. They're getting it zoned and ready to build units on.
Right.
So when and if, I mean, not if, but when the condo market comes back, there are many projects that just need to be greenlit to begin building.
They're waiting for kickoff.
Right. So the fact that we don't have any supply ready to come online in a couple years might lead to an increase in pricing from the demand, which is hopefully going to come back on, and the supply, which will have been kicked to zero.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, we'll just see developers push projects into overdrive,
Right.
and bring those units to market.
Right.
Like, I think that really the most serious problem is that even at $1,000 a square foot for a condo, these prices aren't affordable for people.
I mean, I think $1,000 a square foot is really good right now, too. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's because of rising unemployment,
Right.
and the economic problems that we're facing. Like, you're seeing that in rent, right? Like, rent, it was kind of a given that rent was going to be $4.50 a foot, right? Like, a one bedroom was $2,500 in the city.
Yeah.
of Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah.
A one bedroom in the city of Toronto could very well end up being $2,000 or less, like, because of this rapid increase in unemployment, decrease in consumer confidence. And when that happens, it becomes very difficult to bring new supply online. And then that will constrict what's available.
Mm-hmm.
And even at $4 a foot, many people cannot afford that pricing.
Right.
It's got to be like $3 a foot
Right.
in this type of a market. So who can step in at that point? Because you can't produce a unit for a price that makes sense to rent it at $4 a foot
Right.
in this market. Like, it's, the numbers don't work. You need to be getting $4.50 a foot essentially in order to build a new unit of housing.
Right.
So is that somewhere where the federal government needs to step in
Mm-hmm.
and create some type of supplementary product that allows builders to produce units of housing for cheaper?
Right.
And is that done through CMHC by reducing interest rates? I mean, CMHC kind of started doing that under Trudeau,
Mhm.
where they had different CMHC programs to bring purpose-built housing, purpose-built rentals online, and it worked to a certain extent. But now with the uncertainty in the rental market, those projects don't pencil anymore.
Right.
So when a project can't pencil as a rental, and a project definitely can't pencil as a condo, then the project will sit.
Mhm.
And not only are those projects sitting on the sidelines without being built, but we got a whole bunch of condos sitting on the sidelines right now that aren't being bought.
Yeah.
And we got a whole bunch of people that are looking for the exits. So at a certain point, it all comes back to that Howard Marks pendulum
Yeah.
between greed and fear. At a certain point, we are definitely swinging in the fear zone right now. Do you want to pick the absolute bottom in prices, or do you pick something up right now?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question. I think you probably maybe pick something up.
I would pick something up. That was my. I'm in the pick something up. I'd say pick something up.
Yeah. It's hard for people who sit right now and are trying to figure out a way to hold on to their real estate.
Right.
But I think that although it's going to get a little worse, it's not going to get that much worse.
Yeah. I like that. I like how we're ending this on a little positivity.
Yeah.
If we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Great. Positive end note. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Don't subscribe unless you want to. Leave us a comment, and we'll see you next week.